Welcome back. According to research from the Entertainment Software Association, almost 150 million Americans play video games. 42% of them play at least 3 hours a day. With numbers like that, you can see why video games have truly become a mass medium. It seems no matter where you turn these days, you're bound to find someone tapping away on some type of mobile device. But instead of typing a document or a text message, they're playing a video game. And it's not just young people. Adults are just as likely to get their Candy Crush on or sign in for a session of Words with Friends. Many of these games come in the form of downloadable apps. Some are free, while others cost. Yet all have the same purpose: to create fun and engaging social interactions for people whenever and wherever the mood strikes. Well, a local company behind some of the apps keeping people glued to their devices is Dragon Army. Its co-founder and CEO didn't know anything about video game making when he first started the business, but he didn't let a little thing like that stop him from getting in the game, as you'll see in today's Executive Profiles.
Let's begin the move from Chicago to Stone Mountain, Georgia.
Sure.
Dad's in the vending business, correct?
That's correct, yeah.
Entrepreneur. What did you learn?
You know, I think I grew up learning that the hard work that goes into starting a business, I think I was sort of accustomed to it. Like, it didn't seem weird to me that my dad had his own company. I'd go work with him on the weekends or in the summers, and I got to learn what it was like to build a business.
Also know how to play tennis.
Yeah, I fell in love with tennis around the age of 12, and that was it. For the next almost 10 years, that's all I cared about.
So you fell in love with tennis to the point that you earned a scholarship?
That's right, yeah.
You were really good?
I was okay. I went up to UNC Charlotte. It was awesome. I loved it.
So you're in love with tennis, and you're also in love with your high school sweetheart.
This is correct.
And funny that she lands up going to Davidson.
Yeah.
So you're both in Charlotte.
I think I followed her, is how that worked.
Is that the way it worked?
That's right.
There was
yeah.
no plan, huh?
No, not at all, which is coincidence, I think.
So you're in college and everything is rocking and rolling, and you decide that tennis is not going to be your profession.
I did the math. I played 6 on the team. We were around 50 in the country, so there were a lot more players better than me across the country. I realized around junior year, I'll keep working at it, but it's not going to be my career.
So what's plan B?
You know, I didn't have a plan B. I actually went to school, you know, I have a plan for everything now. I didn't go to school with a plan. I just wanted to play tennis, be close to Emily. Along the way, I fell in love with building websites with my college roommate, and to me, that was everything. This was 95, 96, 97, when the web was new, and it just, like, everything clicked. Like, this is what I wanted to do with my life.
Nothing but net.
That's right. Yeah.
NBN.
NBN
What's
Designs.
that all about?
Yeah, Charlotte was a big basketball school, and honestly, that was the best we could come up with. So we started it as NBN Designs. That was Raj and I. We were building websites in the dorm room. Quite frankly, during class, I was building websites, so it was a fun time.
So you get your degree, and it's time to kind of be an adult and no longer the dorm mentality and build your own business program, wasn't it?
Sure, as long as being an adult can mean moving with your parents, because that's what I did. I went back home, started the business in the basement, and actually was coaching tennis at country clubs during the day to make some money, and working all night and all weekend.
So you changed the name to Spun Logic. So what happens to Spun Logic?
You know, it was a 10-year journey, but it probably took us 5 years to figure out what we were, like how to run a business, how to grow a business. We went from the basement to the back of a fitness club in Snellville, Georgia. 10 years later, we had 75 employees and a pretty thriving digital business.
Spun Logic worked extremely well for you, and you sold the business.
We did, yep. We had a very successful exit in March of 2008. We sold to a private equity group out of New York that bought us and 2 other shops and put us together and called it Engage.
And you were there for how long?
I stayed at Engage for 5 years.
So you started a company a couple of years ago called Dragon Army.
That's right.
Where'd you get that name from?
I started it with 2 people, Ryan Tuttle, who's my co-founder, and then David Cummings, who's sort of a silent partner, but also our lead investor. So the 3 of us started the company. Ryan came up with the name. It's actually from Ender's Game, the book. And in the book, Ender is the lead character, and he has a team which is called Dragon Army. And they're sort of the misfits, and they're smaller than the other bigger kids that they're competing against, and they have to think outside the box. They have to play within the rules, but think about things differently. And so with Dragon Army, tackling mobile, we thought that we needed to really have a different perspective and not be confined to the normal rules. And so plus, honestly, we thought it would be a name that would attract developers.
So it's in the mobile space and it's building games. Not an area that you had experience in.
Zero. So I wanted to build products for consumers. That was I had worked for 15 years for businesses, and I thought, all right, I want to build something for consumers, and then I want to do it in mobile. Well, the math is 80% of all the money that goes through phones and tablets goes through games. So that's where all the action is. It's #1 in time spent. So then I said, all right, let's start a game company. And I did the research, and actually SCAD and Georgia Tech are two of the top game programs in the country. So it's rich in developers and designers, so we thought, all right, let's give this a shot.
And you had a big win in your very first year with your very first game.
We created a game called Robots Love Ice Cream. It's mostly geared toward kids, and you play an ice cream truck, and you're defending the world from robots that are trying to come and steal the ice cream. So we had this idea, and we were building this game, and I started to think, you know what? Even though we're building this directly for consumers and we want millions of people to download it, there's an opportunity here for a brand that has some sort of ice cream affiliation. And so we talked to Arby's and learned that they were launching a new orange cream shake that summer. So we said, why don't we do an integration? And so we integrated their brand into the game, and gosh, we drove somewhere around 60,000 people into an Arby's restaurant to try the shake because they learned about it in the game. So it was, I mean, look, it was lucky, but it worked out.
How well did the game do?
It was great. Robots Love Ice Cream almost hit 1 million downloads last year, which put it in the top 1% of all games, which was a great start for us. So we're excited to ride that wave.
I know how involved you're in the community and what a good guy you are. And the many good things you've done, including donating your 39th birthday for charity. But what I really want to finish on is that other army of yours, all those children.
Yes.
How many children? Explain that one to us.
Sure. Yeah, so we had 3 of our own. What it's made me do is really optimize my time. I don't want to look back and say, I missed my kids when they were young.
Well, Dragon Army is currently working on projects with the Home Depot, Coca-Cola, and National Geographic. Always creating, Hillimire has come up with a new event called 48 in 48. That's where he'll gather 250 people from the local area to build 48 nonprofit websites in 48 hours.